Hi guys, welcome to Sourcing Classes. This is Hima Hegde bringing to you a video session on the National Education Policy 2020. National Education Policy 2020. So the National Education Policy or the NEP 2020 is the star of the show today. So new set of reforms on the education policy has been introduced. Now these reforms are being brought after almost 34 long years. After 34 long years. So here are a few newspaper clippings. The headlines basically that discuss the national education policy. We wouldn't be discussing one article per se in detail. We will be looking at some of the dimensions. So these headlines read, National Education Policy 2020 from the perspective of higher education institutions, a decisive step towards a globally competitive ecosystem. National Education Policy 2020, a roadmap for smooth implementation of reforms. New Education Policy 2020, how NEP will help create jobs, entrepreneurs. Yet again, we won't be addressing one article in particular as this is a recurring matter. This keeps occurring. So we will be addressing the following dimensions. So here's the roadmap for the same. We will first look into the context of why exactly are we discussing the national education policy. Then we'll take a glimpse of the background, then the features of the National Education Policy 2020, the merits of the same, the underlying issues, and lastly, and most importantly, the way forward. So, what exactly is the context? Why are we discussing the National Education Policy? So, recently, the Union Cabinet has approved the new NEP 2020, that is, the National Education Policy 2020, with an aim to introduce several changes in the Indian education system. Now, these changes, the changes in the Indian education system will be reflected from the school level to the college level. So, all the reforms will be brought from the school level to the college level. Now, the NEP 2020 aims at making India a global knowledge superpower. It aims at making India a global knowledge superpower, a knowledge superpower basically. And the cabinet has also approved the renaming of the Ministry of Human Resource Development. This is the MHRD. That is the Ministry of Human Resource Development into the Ministry of Education. MHRD is renamed into Ministry of Education. You might also note that the NEP committee is headed or is under the leadership of Dr. Kasturi Rangan. Dr. Kasturi Rangan. If we were to talk about the background of the NEP, the last NEP was that of the year 1986 and was modified in the year 1992. Let us just have a glimpse of those features. So the year 1986, this year the policy was introduced under the Rajiv Gandhi's Prime Ministership. Here for the first time, 6% of the GDP was spent on education. It is important to note that for the first time, such large percentage, that is 6% of the GDP was spent for the education. It called for a child-centered approach. Also called for the creation of rural university model, which was based on the philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi. Now in the year 1992, the 1986 policy was modified by the P.V. Narasimha Rao government, where they adopted or laid down a 3-exam scheme. Now, what is the 3-exam scheme? It basically had the JEE, AIEEE or the straight triple, that is the engineering entrance examination. Having understood the context and the background, let us now dive into the features of the same. Features of the NEP 2020, the National Education Policy 2020. So the first one is the languages. It is going to be a perfect mix. That is, the policy raises the importance of mother tongue. And the regional languages. This policy, that is the NEP, It highlights or presses a need on the importance of the mother tongue and the regional languages, that is the medium of instruction until the class 5 and beyond should be in these languages, that is the mother tongue and the regional languages. Sanskrit and foreign languages also will be given emphasis. So there will be no compulsion. The policy also states that no language will be imposed on the students. We have already looked into the importance or the highlights on these two languages. So there will be no specific language imposed on the students. Now there will be more to clarify, however, that is the government clarified that the language policy in NEP is a broad guideline, and that is it is up to the states, institutions and schools to decide the implementation. Coming to the school education, now this is the most distinguishing or the most important feature of the NEP 2020. That is the new structure of schooling. The entire structure has been changed. That is, all this while we had the 10+2 structure. That is, the students studied till class 1 to class 10, followed by the 12th standard, the 11th standard and the 12th standard. That is the 10+2 structure. Now under NEP 2020, the 10+2 structure will be replaced by 5+3+3+4 structure. The 5+3+3+4 structure. Now coming to the reforms in the examination, instead of exams being held every academic year, the students will answer only 3 exams. That is, after class 3, 5 and 8. There will be only 3 exams. So the structure goes like 5+3+3+4 instead of 10+2, and the examination pattern will be in classes 3, 5 and 8. These will be the main exams. Novel assessment by PARAK. Novel assessment by PARAK. Now PARAK is nothing but it will be the governing body, that is the assessment body. Board exams will be continued to be held for the classes 10 and 12, but will be redesigned. The standards for this will be established by an assessment body, that is PARAK. Coming to the next one, we have the interdisciplinary approach. Now again this falls under the school education feature itself. So what is the interdisciplinary approach? Now the policy aims at reducing the curriculum load. You won't have as much syllabus to study. This policy will bring down the curriculum load of the students and instead lay emphasis on interdisciplinary and multilingual approach. Now one example given was, if a student wants to pursue fashion studies with physics, or if one wants to learn bakery with chemistry, they'll be allowed to do so. So the software coding. The next important one would be software coding, and coding will be introduced from class 6 and experiential learning will also be adopted. So next and the most important one here would be the midday meal scheme. The midday meal scheme will be extended to include the breakfasts. It will also include the breakfasts. More focus will be given to the students' health, particularly the mental health. Particularly the mental health of the students. How? By deploying more counselors and social workers. So that is how they will incorporate mental health aspect as well. Coming to the next important feature, that is the teacher education. The NEP 2020 puts forward many policy changes when it comes to the teachers and the teacher education. So to become a teacher, a 4-year Bachelor of Education, a 4-year Bachelor of Education will be compulsory, will be the minimum requirement needed by the year 2030. So by the year 2030, in order to become a teacher, the minimum requirement would be 4 years of Bachelor of Education. Also, the National Council for Teacher Education. The National Council of Teacher Education will frame a curriculum for the teacher education by 2021 and also new standards for the teachers by 2022. So all that we will look into it as and when it comes. So coming to the next important feature, we have the Gender Inclusion Fund. The Gender Inclusion Fund, this is for assisting the nation in education of female and transgender children. Female and also the transgender children. Moving on, the academic bank of credit. Now this will be a digital storage of credits. Academic bank of credits will be a digital storage of credits earned to help resume education by utilizing the credits for further education. Next, we have the National Research Foundation. Now this is needless to say to improve the research and innovation. Next, we have the National Education Technology Forum. Now this platform, that is the National Education Technology Forum platform, is to facilitate the exchange of ideas on technology which will be used to improve the learning. Having understood the features, if we were to recall the features, the most distinguishing one would be the change in the structure, that is the replacement of 10 plus 2 structure into 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 structure, also the inclusion of mother tongue and the regional languages, followed by the teachers' education and also the interdisciplinary approach, the gender inclusion fund and the rest. So having understood the features, let us now look into the merits of the same, merits or the advantages. So firstly, the National Education Policy 2020 is highly comprehensive. It seeks to address the entire gamut of education, that is from the preschool to the doctoral studies, that would be PhD and other level studies, from the preschool to the doctoral level studies, and from the professional degrees to the vocational training. So that makes it highly comprehensive in nature. Coming to the early childhood education, in adopting the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 model, we have already seen that the structure would be 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, and now in adopting this model for school education, starting at the age of 3, NEP recognizes the importance of the formative years from the ages 3 to 8. Now this is the age where one could easily mold or shape the child's future. So that is what is being recognized in the new policy. Next online we have the ease on regulations. NEP 2020 makes a bold prescriptions to free our schools, colleges and universities from the periodic inspections. So the schools will be mostly free of the inspections, the schools, colleges and universities for that matter, and will place them on the path of self-assessment, and voluntary declaration. There won't be any external inspection, instead they'll be left free for the self-assessment and improvement. Needless to say, this education policy makes it holistic. It makes it an holistic approach, that is, the policy aims to eliminate problems of pedagogy. What is the pedagogy? It is just the methodology of teaching, and the structural problems or asymmetries and commercialization. It addresses all of those. It also promotes inclusion. The policy proposes the creation of inclusion funds. This is to help socially and educationally the disadvantaged children to pursue education. Having understood the merits, let us now look into the issues. Needless to say that any implementation of the policy will have its own share of problems, issues or the hiccups. So let us discuss. The first one being lack of integration. Lack of integration of what? Of technology and pedagogy. What is pedagogy? It is nothing but the teaching methodology. The teaching methodology, that is the method of teaching, is called as pedagogy. So there is a lack of integration in technology and pedagogy. Let me simplify this for you. Firstly, we all know that the technology is ever evolving. Every day there is a progress and evolution when it comes to the field of science and technology. There are new discoveries and new inventions being made every day. So now this can be only absorbed if the pedagogy or the teaching methodology is flexible enough. Though not everything can be included in the curriculum, if the students were made familiar with the approach of lifelong learning as in when new technology emerges, the student should be able to cope up with it. If this approach is made familiar with the student, then it would be worthwhile. So that is one of it. Then comes the language barrier. We have already discussed that when it comes to the language, there is so much to debate. That is, there is more to clarify from the government. Although we know that the home language learning, that is when mother tongue is used for learning, this will be helpful for the student to grasp the concept better way, to grasp the concept in a better way, or to understand in a better way. However, this is also true that the core goal of education is social and economic mobility. Social and economic mobility, and the language of mobility in India is English. Next, we have the lack of funds. The lack of funds. That is, according to the Economic Survey of 2019 and 2020, the public spending that is by the center and the state on education was 3.1% of the GDP. In 2019 and 2020, it was 3.1% of the GDP on education. So a shift in the cost structure of education is inevitable. While funding at 6% of GDP remains doubtful, it is possible that the parts of transformation are achievable at a lower cost for the greater scale. Next, we have the pedagogical limitations. We already know what pedagogy is. So coming to the limitations, a healthy education system will comprise of a diversity of institutions and not a forced multidisciplinary one. The students should have a choice. The students should be able to make a choice. The document recognizes that there is a diversity of pedagogical needs. So the document talks about flexibility, choice and experimentation. If it is a mandated option with single institutions, this will be a disaster, since structuring a curriculum for a classroom that has both 1-year diploma students and 4-year degree students takes away from the identity of the institution. Next online, we have the institutional limitations. Now, as we already know that a healthy education system will have a diversity of institutions. So the students should have a choice. The students should be able to make a choice for different kinds of institutions. Now the policy risks creating a new kind of institutional isomorphism mandated from the center. Lastly, we have the issues with the examinations. Now as you all know, exams are neurotic experiences because of the competition. Now the consequences of slight slip in the performance are huge in terms of opportunity. So the answer to the exam conundrum lies in the structure of the opportunity. It lies in the structure of the opportunity. Now this will require a less unequal society, both in terms of access to the quality of institutions and income differentials coming from the different institutions. Let us now move on to discuss the way forward. So firstly, it is the implementation of the spirit. Implementation of the spirit and the intent of the policy is the most critical matter. Implementation, in simple words, is the most critical matter. It is important to implement the policy initiatives in a phased manner. This can't happen all at once. It has to be in a phased manner, as each policy point has several steps. There are multiple policies, the sub-policies under the National Education Policy, and each of them have several sub-steps. That is why it has to be implemented in a phased manner, each of which will require the previous step to be implemented successfully. Next is the prioritization. Prioritization will be important in ensuring optimal sequencing of policy points. As we already discussed, there are going to be several steps in the implementation of policies, and the next step can be only implemented when the previous one has been successfully taken care of. So the prioritization of these steps will be equally important, and the most critical and the urgent actions have to be taken up first while sequencing, thereby enabling a strong base. That is, when there are multiple steps in the implementation, we have to make sure that the most urgent ones have to be implemented first. So that will create a strong foundation or a strong base, and then there will come the other steps. The other steps will follow. Next, the comprehensiveness in implementation. Now this will be the key. As the policy is interconnected and holistic, only a full-fledged implementation and not a piecemeal one will ensure that the desired objectives are achieved. Now since education is a concurrent subject, it will need careful planning, joint monitoring and collaborative implementation between the center and the states. So by all this we can summarize that the implementation is the key, and this has to be simplified in a phased manner. All the steps which will come under the implementation have to be sequenced accordingly. Next, since education, okay, this we have discussed, and then comes the timely infusion of the resources. Whatever the resources are required, they have to be timely infused or introduced. So be it the human resource or the infrastructural resource or the financial resources at the center and state levels, this will be crucial for the satisfactory execution of the policy. Finally, a careful analysis and review of the linkages between multiple parallel implementation steps will be necessary in order to ensure the effective implementation of all the initiatives. So lastly, let us revise what we have learned. The first, we have looked into the context of what exactly or why are we looking into the National Education Policy 2020. It is a recurring subject, and then we had a glimpse of the background. That is, it was first there, or it was previously implemented in the year 1986, which was again modified in the year 1992. We then looked into the features of the 2020 policy, followed by its merits, issues and the way forward, which says that implementation is the key for the same. So that's about it for today's video. Hope you found it informative. For any details regarding the courses, do visit the official website, that is www.socinclasses.com. Thank you.